Chapter 5 A Stranger at Sea. As our sailors trek on through the waves, they find themselves in a calm spell. The sun high overhead and the seagulls keeping them company, James lays on the ship's deck looking at the clouds, using his new skills to read the winds, while Alice whips up some lunch.
The soup is almost done,
Alice informs James.
So, where are we headed next?
Alice doesn't hear any response and decides to go find her brother. As she dishes out the food and brings it to James, she sees he's now a little frantic with the map and looking to the sky.
What's the matter, James?
Alice asks. James turns and looks at her with a slight panic.
The winds, they've put us in a calm belt. I don't think we'll have enough food and water to reach another island.
But before Alice can respond, a faint cry rings across the water, a distant voice. But this time, it's not a haunting call of a creature from the depths. It's human. James jumps to his feet, eyes scanning the horizon.
Alice, what was that?
Alice puts down the food, now on edge.
I don't know, but it sounds like someone's in trouble.
They adjust the sails to catch what little breeze they can. They head towards the source of the sound. The cry comes again, a desperate call for help. This time, it's closer. A small boat appears, drifting aimlessly. A figure slumped over in the boat, barely conscious. As they approach, Alice throws a rope to the boat.
Just hang in there. We'll help you.
The figure stirs and slowly lifts their head. A girl, dressed in tattered sailor's garb, her face gaunt and weathered by time. Her eyes wide with fear, lock onto James.
Please, you have to help me.
She gasps, barely able to speak.
They're coming. They're coming for me.
Alice and James pull her aboard the Wanderer, the young girl collapsing against the deck in exhaustion.
What is your name?
Alice asks. The girl lifts her head, face sunburnt, lips peeling, and looks to Alice.
Lena.
Is all she can say before she passes out. James and Alice get Lena out of the sun and below deck. After treating her wounds, they gather some water and a small portion of their lunch, bringing it to Lena. When she comes to, she tells our sailors what happened. Her story is one they've heard before, of a ship cursed by the sea, of strange creatures and dark bargains made for treasure. But this time, there's something different about Lena's tale.
I was part of an expedition.
Lena explains, gasping for breath between bites of food and drink.
We thought we found what we were looking for, the heart of the ocean, an artifact that would give us power, riches, immortality.
She looks over at James and Alice.
But it wasn't a treasure, it was a trap, a gimmicked stone. In my escape, I found the real stone, and now they're after me, the ones who guard it.
Alice looks at James, concern etched across her face.
The heart of the ocean. But why are they after you? It's not like you have the real stone.
I don't have it, but the knowledge of its location is dangerous enough that the wardens would rather have me silenced so that others don't go after it.
Lena responds. James's eyes narrow.
I've heard of stories, an ancient artifact said to control the seas, but no one's ever found it. They said it's hidden in the heart of the deepest trench, guarded by creatures older than time itself. But you're telling me you found it. So, if we have the stone, would these wardens obey us?
Lena's eyes widen with fear as she grips James's arm.
You'd be willing to try and go after the heart? I don't think you understand. The wardens will stop at nothing so that no one can have the stone. The cursed creatures, they call themselves the Wardens of the Abyss. I barely escaped with my life. They took the rest of my crew, but marked me with this.
Lena raised her arm to show what could only be described as burns tattooed into her skin. Scarred and turned black, looking as if something tried to eat her arm with acid.
It won't be easy, but since I know where it is, we stand a chance. Otherwise, I can never safely traverse the oceans again.
James and Alice exchange a glance.
So they're after you because you're the one that found it.
Alice says, her voice low. Lena nods.
And they'll never stop. If I go back there alone, they'll drag me down. You have to help me, please.
James sighs. The weight of the decision seems to be settling on his shoulders.
We can't let them take you. But if we're going to stand a chance against these wardens, we need to know more. Tell us everything.
With Lena's help, they chart a course toward the trench, a place where few ships dare to venture. She points out that the fake stone was at the bottom of the trench where they were, but the real one is actually closer to the surface. From the direction they are coming, it'll be on the other side of the trench, under a reef. Only guided by Lena's map and her directions, they sail onward. The winds grow colder as they sail into the increasingly uncharted waters, the sea around them growing darker and more ominous.
I've read about this place.
Alice mutters as she examines the map Lena gave her.
The Abyssal Trench. It's said to be bottomless, a place where the sea swallows ships whole. Legends say it's a gateway to the deepest parts of the ocean. So this is where the Wardens of the Abyss reside.
James watches the water closely, his hand never far from the wheel.
And those wardens are who we need to avoid.
Lena shudders.
Avoid? We can't avoid them. The wardens are bound to the heart of the ocean. If we get too close to where it lies, we'll be hunted. They can smell fear. They can taste your soul.
As night falls, the sea seems to come alive with an unnatural glow. Strange, phosphorescent creatures flicker beneath the surface, creating an eerie, ghostly light in the waves. A low hum fills the air, growing louder as they near the trench.
They're already here.
Lena whispers, her voice trembling.
They're drawing us in.
Alice steps up to James's side. Her eyes are scanning the water.
We need to be ready for anything.
Suddenly, the sea begins to boil, and a dark shape rises from the water, an enormous creature, its muscular, scaled body twisting through the depths like a serpent. Its wings stretching out, casting a shadow over the wanderer. Its eyes, pale yet glassy, glow with an otherworldly light.
The wardens.
Lena gasps.
They found us.
The creature, now towering over the ship, its jaws open, revealing rows of jagged teeth, and a voice like the crackling of thunder echoes from its throat.
You have trespassed on sacred waters.
Its voice booming across the ocean.
Turn back or face the consequences.
Alice draws a harpoon, her hands shaking and her heart is racing. The creature rears back, its massive tail slamming into the wanderer, rocking the ship violently. The mast of the ship sent flying into the sea. James holds the wheel, his grip tight as Lena stumbles, struggling to stay upright.
That's a problem. Lena, lend me a hand.
James shouts, but Lena, pale and terrified, refuses to budge.
The heart of the ocean.
She whispers,
It's not just an artifact. It's alive. And the wardens,
but before she can finish, the creature strikes again, and a second shape rises from the depths, even larger and more menacing than the first. The water around them turns black with ink as the creatures close in. As it breaches the surface, the wanderer gets launched and rides the wave out over the trench. The other side is fast approaching. They see the reef coming into view. It's to the starboard side of the ship. James turns the wheel to the right, guiding them closer to the reef. James and Alice exchange a look of desperation. They may have miraculously made it across the trench, but they still are a distance away from their goal, and they can't outrun the wardens. Not with the Wanderer in such a devastating condition. They can only ride out the wave most of the way there. Alice grabs her pack.
James, we need a distraction. We can't fight them head on, but I might be able to buy us some time with some sea sugar.
James hesitates.
Are you sure? I think it's too dangerous.
Lena pulls herself up, panic evident in her voice.
you don't understand. They will kill us all if we don't get to the heart first.
Alice nods firmly.
It's our only chance. I'll buy you time.
With no more words, Alice stands on the ship's port side railing and dives over the side of the ship in the direction of a large rock formation, hoping the wardens didn't notice. Alice disappears beneath the waves. For a moment, all is silent. Then, a sharp screech cut through the air, echoing from the deep. The wardens approach from across the trench, their massive bodies disappearing into the water with an unnatural speed. James seizes the opportunity.
Lena, this is our chance to go for the heart.
With Lena standing by his side now, James steers the wanderer towards the trench. As they approach, the sea around them seems to grow colder, their breath showing every time. The water growing darker, as if the ocean itself is resisting their passage.
There,
Lena points. A faint glow can be seen under the reef.
the heart of the ocean.
They can see the faint glow coming from beneath the surface, a pulsing, almost alive light beckoning them deeper. Suddenly, a massive shape looms beneath them. Another warden. Its enormous body rising from the depths, its mouth agape, and its eyes locked onto them with a soul-piercing gaze. It roars, sending a shockwave of pressure through the water, but Alice emerges from the depths just in time for it not to cause damage to her ears. She swims hard, making her way to the reef now. Still struggling to steer, James yells and plunges the wanderer toward the heart of the ocean, and toward the final confrontation with the wardens. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of High Seas Adventures. We hope you enjoyed the journey. If you like what you heard, stay tuned for new episodes released every Friday morning. Share it with your friends because we've got more in store. So be sure to tune in next time. Until then, this is Screen Free Stories, saying unanchor your imagination and sail to worlds beyond the waves.